12 Things You Must Know About God. The Bible opens with an extraordinary account in Genesis chapter 1. A chapter that lays the foundation for our understanding of both the universe and the nature of God. It serves as a profound introduction to the divine Creator and the world He has made. In this pivotal chapter, we not only discover how the universe was formed, but also unveil significant truths about God's character and attributes. The repetition of the word God, which appears an impressive 35 times in just 31 verses, underscores a crucial point. The narrative of creation is fundamentally centered around Him. Each mention of God serves to remind us of His pivotal role in the cosmos and emphasizes the intentionality behind His actions. By examining this chapter closely, we gain valuable insights into God's nature, His relationship with creation, and the principles that govern our existence. This exploration will delve into 12 key insights derived from Genesis 1, each designed to deepen our understanding of who God is and what He means for us. As we explore these insights, we can appreciate the grandeur of creation and the intimate connection we have with our Creator. God is uncreated. The first and most profound truth we must grasp is that God is uncreated. Unlike everything else in the universe, which has a beginning, God exists outside of time and space. The Bible makes this clear from the very first verse. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, Genesis 1 verse 1. This verse establishes that before the universe existed, God was already present. Understanding that God is uncreated provides a sense of security and stability. There was never a time when God was not, and He is not subject to the limitations of time, space, or creation. He is eternal, existing in a state that is not defined by beginnings or endings. This truth encourages us to trust in His timelessness and sovereignty, knowing that He is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Hebrews 13 verse 8. God is Creator. Genesis chapter 1 vividly illustrates God's role as Creator. He is the source of all that exists. The chapter unfolds in a structured account of creation, where God speaks the universe into existence. For instance, in Genesis 1 verse 3, He says, "Let there be light," and immediately, light appears. This showcases God's immense power and authority. He creates simply by speaking. The beauty of creation reflects God's creativity and artistry. He designs everything from the vast galaxies to the smallest microorganisms, demonstrating an unparalleled level of imagination and care. As we gaze at the intricate details of nature, the colors of a sunset, the complexity of a flower, the diversity of animals, we see the fingerprints of a Creator who delights in His work. This aspect of God invites us to appreciate and respect the world around us, recognizing it as a gift from Him. God is powerful. The power of God is another essential truth we glean from Genesis 1. His ability to create the universe ex nihilo out of nothing speaks volumes about His might. The Bible shows us that He commands the natural order with authority. When God speaks, creation obeys. In Genesis 1 verse 11, He commands, "Let the earth sprout vegetation," and it happens just as He says. God's power is not just seen in creation, but also in His ongoing governance of the world. He sustains the universe and upholds it by His word. Hebrews 1 verse 3. This truth should inspire awe and reverence. When we face challenges or obstacles in our lives, we can draw comfort from the knowledge that the same God who created the universe is powerful enough to handle our struggles. His might reassures us that nothing is too difficult for Him. God is personal. One of the most beautiful revelations in Genesis 1 is that God is personal. He is not a distant or impersonal force, but a God who desires a relationship with His creation. The narrative describes Him as someone who observes, evaluates, and interacts with the world. After creating light, land, and creatures, God reflects on his work and sees that it is good. Genesis 1 verses 10 and 12, 18. This personal nature is further emphasized when he creates human beings. In Genesis 1 verses 26 to 27, God says, "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness." This statement signifies a close relationship between God and humanity. He desires for us to know him, and he invites us to share in his creative purpose. God is orderly. God's creation demonstrates an impressive sense of order and structure. Genesis 1 provides a systematic account of creation, with each day building upon the previous one. For example, God creates light before separating the waters. Genesis 1 verses 3 to 7, and establishes land before populating it with plants and animals. Genesis 1 verses 9 to 12. This orderliness reflects God's character as one who values organization and harmony. It shows that creation is not a random occurrence, but a well-planned process. As we observe the natural order of the world, the changing seasons, the cycles of life, and the laws of nature, we see evidence of God's meticulous planning. This insight encourages us to live with intention and purpose, mirroring the order God has established in creation. God is singular. In the context of Genesis 1, it is essential to recognize that God is singular. The text uses singular verbs when describing God's actions, emphasizing that there is one God who is the creator of all. This singularity is crucial because it establishes God's uniqueness and authority. Genesis 1 verse 1 states, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth," highlighting that all of creation comes from one divine source. This truth has significant implications for our understanding of worship and devotion. It reminds us to focus our hearts and minds on the one true God, who alone deserves our reverence and praise. In a world with many distractions and competing ideologies, acknowledging God's singularity helps us maintain our faith and commitment to him. God is plural. While God is singular, the term used for God in Genesis 1, Elohim, is plural. This intriguing aspect points to the theological concept of the Trinity, suggesting that God exists as three persons in one essence: the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. This plurality is evident in Genesis 1 verse 26, where God says, "Let us make man in our image." The idea of God as a community of persons enriches our understanding of his nature. It emphasizes that God is relational, and he exists in a loving relationship within himself. This understanding invites us into a relationship with God, reflecting his desire for community and connection. As believers, we are encouraged to live in harmony with one another, mirroring the unity of the Godhead. God is good. Another vital truth from Genesis 1 is that God is good. After each act of creation, he declares it good, culminating in his declaration of humanity as very good in Genesis 1 verse 31. This goodness is foundational to understanding God's character and his intentions for creation. God's goodness is evident in the blessings he bestows upon creation. In Genesis 1 verse 28, he commands humans to be fruitful and multiply, demonstrating his desire for us to thrive and flourish. This understanding of God's nature invites us to trust him and seek his will, knowing that his plans are rooted in goodness. In a world filled with suffering and confusion, this truth reassures us that God's intentions are ultimately for our benefit. God is living. God is alive, and his actions in creation testify to this vitality. Unlike dead or inanimate things, God actively participates in the world. The opening chapter of Genesis describes him working and creating, revealing a dynamic relationship with his creation. For instance, in Genesis 1 verses 20 to 21, he creates living creatures and fills the earth with life. God's living nature means he is engaged in the world and its affairs. He is not a distant deity, but an active participant in human history and individual lives. This truth encourages us to seek a relationship with the living God, who is involved in our daily existence. We can trust that He hears our prayers, sees our struggles, and is working for our good.